I cooked this meal back in the summer using the barbecue as an oven, but you can make it in a normal electric or gas oven too. I will show you how to debone and stuff chicken legs, make a rich homemade sauce, and serve everything with rustic vegetables. If you'd like to see more Italian and Sicilian recipes from me, hit the subscription button. It's all free.
Today's recipe starts with me deboning some chicken legs and stuffing them with breadcrumbs and a mixture of sausages and ham. Deboning chicken legs or deboning any poultry is coming to that actually is a lot simpler than what you think. I have actually got a video up here if you're interested on how to debone a whole chicken. But in the past I've also deboned whole turkeys or geese, and clearly deboning a chicken leg is considerably easier than deboning a whole bird, although deboning a whole bird is also easy. So why debone in the first place? Well, it gives you so much more flexibility, and the amount of recipes you could do if you debone a chicken or part of a chicken is really almost endless, entirely up to you. But what I'll do today, I'll show you how to debone a chicken leg, and then you can try yourself if you wish. So as I said, I'll go through one and you can see how simple it is. So you've seen me scoring the end of the drumstick just before the knuckle over here. And make sure that you've got a good knife. That is priority number one. Kitchen knife in my case is what I'm using, a normal kitchen knife, but it is actually nice and sharp, so it needs to be quite sharp. So if you move on to the chicken leg itself, by the way, chicken legs are ideal for stuffing. They're very cheap. They're amongst the parts of the chicken that are most affordable, and that they are really delicious because they release a lot more juices and flavor, I think, than the breast does. Now back to our deboning job. So you will see that the part of the thigh is here and then the part of the drumstick is here, and you got two bones, one here and one here. So the job is to remove those bones without making a mess. I always ensure that the blade of the knife is away from my fingers, of course, so I'll start going around the knuckle over here and free it up from any meat. And if you do have to remove the odd piece of meat, it's not a big problem. You can use it later as stuffing. So the main priority is to be able to get hold of the bone, like this. And once you are at that point, it becomes really easy. Use the blade of the knife, and a bit like if you're shaving, and start scraping against the bone like this until you can hear this noise, and then you just turn the leg the other way and remove all of the flesh from the bone until you reach the end of the bone and you get to the other knuckle over here. You can see how quickly I've got there. So once you reach this point, pair of scissors, simplest way of doing it, and go where the cartilage is and just chop it off. And I think it's the safest way to remove the first part of the bone. Job done. And I'm gonna put this inside a saucepan as I will be making some stock, and I'll explain why later. So having removed the first part of the bone, I can now use the scissors to remove any unwanted cartilage. You can see that in between the two bones there is this cartilage, so I'll just chop around with the scissors, very simply like this. And I start making some space so that I can reintroduce my knife in there in a moment. And I'm nearly there, so knife goes back in, and I'll just start shaving the beginning of the bone, which goes all the way down to the drumstick. And just again, as I said before, make sure that you keep your hand away from the blade. And once I've got the bone back in my hand, I'm off again. It's very simply, just like I did before, start scraping against the bone, and you will see that it will come off very easily. Now, I did score the beginning earlier. You saw me when I started, and that is because that comes off very easily just by pulling it, and this will go there for stock. So here is my deboned chicken leg. I'll just put it back together, and you can see that the shape is there and it is ready for me to be filled. But what I'll do next, I'll do all the others, and then I'll start working on the filling. I'm making a sauce today, and I'll be using the bones from my chicken legs to make some stock. So I'm making dinner for 4 people, so I want to make sure that I've got enough. So I will half fill my little saucepan, followed by a bay leaf, no salt, no pepper. At this stage all I want is the stock, so I'll wait until this starts boiling. Once the water starts boiling, I'll turn it down on medium, and I'll leave it to continue cooking for about half an hour so that I get good quality stock. Next I'm moving on to the filling, and these are breadcrumbs, dry breadcrumbs. and I will be using a couple of tablespoons per person. So I've done 4 so far, 6, 7 and 8. So 2 tablespoons per leg. What you put inside is entirely up to you, of course, but today I'll show you what I tend to use, which is very, very flavorful, and it's a combination of ham and also sausages. And I'm going to be using 4 slices of ham, again 1 per leg. This is cooked ham, of course, but you can use also pancetta, you can use bacon, you can use parma ham. I use cooked ham because it's a little bit milder, and I think that anything else could be a little bit too overpowering, and I want a good blend of ingredients. So I'm choosing to use cooked ham, but again, personal choices. But whatever you do, make sure that you cut it in little pieces so that it will fit inside the chicken leg, of course, so they can go in with the breadcrumbs. Egg next. I'm not sure what I've put here. Here it is. This is a smiley face. It's Julie's way of telling me that they need to be used up fast. We've been to the supermarket today. We stocked up with some fresh eggs, and these are the old ones, so I'm using them first. So 1 egg. This is Parmesan cheese, and I'll grate about 30 grams. I'm not going to put much more than that, otherwise it could become a little bit too salty. And bearing in mind that I want to add a little salt, and also I will be adding some cheddar alongside my cheese. I think I'm going to be a little bit more careful with my Parmigiano today. My chicken stock is beginning to boil, so I better turn it down before it goes everywhere. So there you go, and down on medium, so about half an hour from now. So that's the Parmigiano done. It say some salt and pepper, so I'll add them now, so I don't forget, and then I can forget about it. So a little pinch of salt, followed by a little pepper. And before I add my sausages, I'm going to add some parsley. The reason why I'm leaving the sausages for last, by the way, is so that I don't have to wash my hands too many times, so I can do them last. So be generous with parsley, as it combines everything absolutely beautifully. And here we go with the sausages. You can tell we've just been to the supermarket. These are purchased today, and I'm going to use just a couple, so half a sausage per leg. But I'm going to squeeze them so that I get as much of the sausage meat out as possible, and the skin in this particular sausage is very tender, so I don't need to remove them from the skin. But if your sausages were in a skin which is very tough, you might want to chop them first, or just remove the skin, and then you end up with the sausage meat. And now, as I got the empty hands, I just carry on and mix everything together. And with the risk of sounding a little bit repetitive, I always say that these jobs are easier done with your hands, because you can really mix it together to the point where you get little grains like this, and you will know that all of the ingredients are amalgamated. If you were to use a spoon or a fork, it would be okay also, but I think this is considerably easier, quicker, and more satisfying in my view. But either ways, regardless if you're doing with a spoon or with your hands, do ensure that you get to something which is very moist, and if you squeeze it in your hands like this, it should just stay in one piece. And this is what is going to be the filling for my chicken. It's perfect because it's lovely and moist, but also it will be easier for me to stuff it. So if I bring my chicken back and I move this out of the way, and I'll show you what I do next, which is very, very simple, as you'd expect. So here is my chicken, and my chicken leg I should say. And by the way, if you were to stuff a hot chicken, you can do exactly that, the same. You will love obviously the filling for the entire chicken. So ensure that you are holding your chicken leg on the palm of your other hand, depending if you are left-handed or right-handed. I'm right-handed. And then very simply just pick some of your mix and start applying it inside the chicken leg. And what I do, I start first until I get to the bottom of the leg, just like this, or the drumstick I should say, and pretty much until I push it until it's more or less at the edge, so that I now has reached the feathered part of the chicken leg. Then I'll turn it back, and here is some cheddar cheese, which I've cut pretty much the length of my chicken. So I'll put that in next, like this, and then I'll continue stuffing my chicken legs with more of a mix. And I make sure that I go around the cheese so that when it cooks later it will melt and it will be absorbed by all of the breadcrumbs, and when then you slice this, it will look absolutely superb. and I'm pushing this quite firmly, and by the time I'm done I have replaced the bone with stuffing, and I want to make sure also that I've got enough of an overlap for me to close it later, and that is perfect actually. I'm very pleased with that. So I'll do the other three exactly the same, and I'll show you what to do next. And all 4 chicken legs are stuffed, and actually the amount of filling is perfect, it's all gone. I'm very pleased with that. So if you're stuffing 4 legs, just use the same quantities and you will be fine. Let me show you how simple it is to close them, just by using a couple of toothpicks per leg. So first job first is to place your chicken leg on your hand, left hand if you're right-handed like me of course, then fold one end and then do the same with the other end, and as you fold it, make sure that you continue pushing the stuffing towards the middle of your chicken until you reach a point where your chicken leg looks a bit like this. And this doesn't have to be perfect by all means, just enough for it to hold the stuffing inside. So toothpick, find a place where there is some meat here, and literally just go all the way. Oops, mine broke. I'll do it with another one, and I'll do it again. Then find all the way and go to the other side, and make sure that you are stabbing where there is meat, and like this is perfect. So you don't have to do anything too clever, just make sure that it stays together. Then on this side here I tend to fold it towards the inside just like this, and very similarly I'll fold it until I get a little closure like this, and yes, my toothpick is a bit slippery now, and off I go. And that is enough. That is all I need to ensure that the stuffing doesn't go anywhere, and this will cook beautifully. So I'll do the other 3 and then I'll tell you what to do next. And alongside the options you've got for different types of stuffing, you also got different options on how you cook these. So you can shallow fry them on the hob, put a little olive oil inside your pan and make sure that it's nice and hot first. And if you do choose that option, ensure that you start cooking them this way down, so that you're going to be creating a seal where the split is, and then you start rolling them until they're totally cooked. It should take about 20 to 25 minutes. If the toothpicks get in your way, just chop them with the scissors or with a knife, and then you'll be able to turn them properly. But do remember obviously to remove them before you use them. Second option is to just put them in the oven, temperature of 180 degrees for about half an hour until they're cooked. Or you can do what I do, and this is actually a little bit more flavorful and different for summer. So I've got my barbecue going, and it's now nearly at temperature. It's nearly 180 degrees, similar to an oven. And very simply I'll barbecue them, but just like the shallow fry option, I'll start by placing them with this face down like this, so that that will create my seal, and then they will not explode if I go the other way around. So just face them down like this, and then press them down with your hand gently and start cooking them. I forgot to say, if you place them in the oven, ensure that you start them also with the split facing down, but you don't need to turn them because obviously the iron will cook them properly. So I'll close this, and I will leave them for 5 minutes, and then in 5 minutes time I'll turn them around, and I'll do the second side, the third side and the fourth sides, and they'll take about 20 to 25 minutes. So cooking time is not that different regardless which option you choose, but do ensure that they're cooked properly, and you will see this beautiful golden color. But I'll show you as I turn them around so that you know what to expect if you choose to barbecue them. So as you know, about 5 minutes. 5 minutes on, I did say I was going to show you what they look like. Stay on top of them, by the way, because they could burn easily. So here they are, and I'll just go along and I'll start turning them. And I'll go clockwise, anti-clockwise, but I make sure that they cook throughout. You can see what I mean. That has already sealed, which is perfect, so that as they heat up, even if they do expand, and if you look, can you see that has bloated a little? But that's fine, because obviously my joint is sealed and it can bloat as much as it likes. So I'll close it once again, and every 5 minutes I'll turn them. Make sure that the temperature is between 150 and 170, otherwise they'll burn, and I'll show you what they look like once they're finished. And I'm done, and they've had the 360 degree experience in terms of having been turned around a couple of times. And if you're not sure, by the way, because Julie was asking me, oh, half an hour, is that enough? If you think about it, actually there is no bone inside, and the most important thing is that there are no pink juices coming out. And if you look, I just pierced with a skewer. Apologies, my neighbour has decided to turn his chainsaw while I'm doing this. Never mind, he's entitled. And they are perfectly cooked, but also there is no bone inside. So the most important thing is to cook the sausages, because the sausages were raw, and if you didn't put sausages, most probably you could do it for even less, but still, better be safe than sorry. So they are done. Next job is to remove them from the barbecue. Next job is for my neighbor to turn the chainsaw off. Never mind, hopefully you can hear me. And I'll leave them on my plate, and I'll leave them to cool down for a good 20 minutes to half an hour, because I will be making a little sauce, which I'm going to show you next, hence me doing the stock, and then they will be considerably easier to slice. So I'll close this and I'll see you back in my little kitchen outside. And today's sauce is going to be a really authentic Italian one, and I'm making a soffritto. So this is a little celery, which I'm now chopping in little pieces. Carrot from Julie's garden, and very fresh, of course. Like I did with the celery, I'll chop these also in little pieces. Small onion, chopped also in relatively little pieces. It doesn't matter actually how little or big they are, because I will be whizzing the sauce later, but the smaller they are, the quicker they'll cook. Clove of garlic, I'll remove the skin, as my daughter Gabriella is with us visiting from Manchester, and she saw me using the skin from the garlic before in another video, and she said, why do you do that? I always remove it. So just out of respect for her, I will be removing it today. But in case you're wondering, oops, the reason why I often keep it is because actually it does release some flavour also, but never mind, that can come off today. And I was going to use a supermarket pepper, but Julie popped her head round and she gave me this one, which is from a vegetable patch. It's the very first pepper for the year, so I'm going to use this instead. And literally, it was attached to the plant about 5 minutes ago. It smells lovely. And once again, everything goes in little pieces, just like this. My neighbour finished with the chainsaw, he's now using the lawnmower. That's perfectly okay. It's one of the beauties of living in the country. So a little olive oil. This is some of the filling that came off the chicken just before I put them on the barbie. So I'll add them in, as they will add a little flavour and nothing goes to waste. Followed by my chopped vegetables. And I will leave this to cook quite vigorously at a high temperature, turn it down on 270, it's on 9 at the moment, for about 10 minutes, until all of the vegetables become lovely and soft, and all of the flavour from the oil has been absorbed. In the meantime, as you'll have gathered, my chicken stock is ready, and I'm going to be straining it using this little sieve, so that I do not end up with bones with the stock, and that's perfect. I'll put the bones in the bin over here, and then I'll move this back in my saucepan, as I will need it when I cook the sauce later. In the meantime, I'm working on my side dish, which is going to be a combination of carrots, potatoes and onions all roasted together. I'll cut them all and I'll show you what I do. So I chopped them all up, and the potatoes are all in relatively small pieces. I'll finish the sauce first and then I'll come back to these. These are done, and I'm going to add them to my stock first. And I'm keeping the saucepan, by the way, as I will be using it to do my potatoes, so I don't end up with too much washing up. So that will stay, and also it's got a little oil, which is great. Stock cube next. This is pork stock cube. I'm using pork in the chicken, and also is great regardless. You can also use chicken stock cube or vegetable stock cube. I would avoid using beef or lamb or anything like that, because it's a different type of flavor altogether. This is very much my touch, a little balsamic vinegar. Trust me, it makes a big difference. And I'll blend everything together, and also I'll have the opportunity to see the consistency that I end up with. And that is perfect. You can see that all of my vegetables have been blended away. So the first thing to do next is to just taste it for salt and pepper. And it just needs a little salt. And I can add that now and forget about it. Not a lot though, so you will have to taste it depending on your preferences, of course. And also here is my pepper. And I'll place this back on the hob, and I'll show you what I do next to thicken it up, assuming you want to thicken it up, but it is very liquidy, so I would recommend to thicken it up a little. And the easiest way to thicken up any savoury sauce without changing the flavour is by using corn flour. I would not use flour because, especially in this recipe, it could alter the taste of your sauce. And bearing in mind that I already tasted and I'm happy with it, I think I'm going to stick to corn flour. So I'll go 3.5 teaspoons here. We do like our sauce a little bit thicker than normal. And I'm going to add next a little cold water and I mix it together. Just like this. And I've added enough water to ensure that my flour dilutes well. So my sauce is back on the hob and I add my corn flour and I'll mix it straight away. And I'll take it to the boil, and once it starts boiling I'll turn it down on to very low, number 3 out of 9 in my case, and you will see that it will thicken up beautifully. And look, within a couple of minutes it's beginning to boil and it's already thickened up, so I will remove it from over here where my hob is on low, and I'll put my frying pan here so that I can start cooking my vegetables. And I will leave also the sauce on very low so that it will continue to thicken up. So a little olive oil in here, but also I got my vegetables here, so a little olive oil in there, and I'll mix them all together so that they are properly covered by oil and they can go in. The lid goes on and I will leave them on a medium temperature for about 10 minutes, and then I'll give them a toss, and then another 5 minutes and I'll give them a toss, and I'll continue that until they're cooked, and I'll show you what they look like. About 20 minutes and they'll be ready. I feel like I want to apologize as I keep jumping from one thing to the next, but in all fairness, that's what home cooking is really about. We don't just do one thing. I'm cooking a meal, so I'm showing you the process of me cooking the meal. So the chicken is beautifully cooled down now, so the first thing to do is to obviously remove the toothpicks, which is dead easy as I can get hold of it, and it's all nice and steady. Look, it doesn't go anywhere. And if this is the very first video you're seeing, have a look at the channel. It's absolutely packed with Italian and Sicilian, Sicily is part of Italy of course, recipes, and you will find varieties from different type of pasta, lasagna, but also fish, meat such as chicken and pork, all sorts, all from Italy. And if you like it, subscribe. And as my chicken has cooled down, look how easy it is for me to now cut through it, and I'll show you a little piece over here. Absolutely beautiful. So I'll chop them all, and then I'll show you what I do in terms of presentation. However, let me show you a little tip. If you want to be a little bit more elegant, cut it diagonally, just like this one, and that will look quite nice on your plate. And if you've got very angry people, obviously that will go a little bit further. This particular one, actually, you can see very clearly the cheese, the cheddar I put in. Look how beautiful this will look on a plate. So as I said, I'll carry on and I'll slice it all. I have arranged on a plate, and I'm sure you will agree with me, it looks absolutely stunning. So here is my sauce, and I'll just pour some on randomly so that it looks quite elegant when it goes at the table. And while I'm at it, I'll do a little taster for you. This is the sort of thing that no matter how you cook it in the oven or you shallow fry, it's delicious. But if you have got the opportunity to do it on the barbecue like I've done it, it adds an extra element of flavour because of the charcoaly flavour. It's absolutely delicious, and the hot sauce on top of the warm chicken, spot on. Really, the palate can really taste it, and it's absolutely delicious. So potatoes are nearly done, and this is finished. Of course, I'll show you what to do with the potatoes, and then we can wrap up the video. And as you would expect, there is nothing magic or clever about this. It's just about seasoning, really. So they are beautifully done, by the way. I'll show you. They have all caramelized, and the potatoes have got this beautiful color, and the carrots look how lovely. So I always salt and pepper my vegetables, and especially potatoes, at the end. And I'll do that now with a little salt and a little pepper. The reason why I leave salting my potatoes at the end is because you can taste the salt more. If you think about it, if you were to cook them throughout the 20 minutes with salt, that will be diluted, and I think personally it tastes better like this. And my very last herb is going to be some rosemary, and you will see that I've left it to the very end once it's off the hob, as everything is really hot, and this will release some amazing flavor, and that will be pretty much it. And yes, you will have guessed it, it's from our garden. So one final toss and then this will be ready. And sometimes I wish I was able to share the flavor with you also, but you'll have to trust me. I actually make this quite often, but not combined with carrots and with the onions. Then I do them on their own, the potatoes, but they're really nice, and a nice diversification, especially if you got people coming around. Like us, we got Gabriella, my daughter. Okay, so that is the end of the video. So here is my stuffed chicken leg, and here are my vegetables. Julie's making a salad with tomato and lettuce, straightforward, simple salad to go alongside this also. And that's dinner ready. If you've enjoyed it and you're going to make it, let me know. That would be interesting to see how you get on, especially with the chicken. You need to try this. And if you are scared about deboning it, just be very gentle, take your time, be very patient, and the more often you do it, the quicker you'll become and the more confident. Try, honestly, it's that easy. Arrivederci, grazie, and buon appetito. Thank you for watching.